Dad perfect events. When my daughter-in-law Patricia told me I wasn't welcome at Christmas because I didn't fit their brand, I smiled, walked to my truck, and made one phone call. By New Year's, their $2,200 monthly mortgage payment was history. That was just the beginning of my plan. My name is Victor Martinez. I'm 58 years old, and I've learned that sometimes the people who claim to love you most are the ones who respect you least. I spent 20 years as a military contractor in places most folks can't pronounce, then came home and built my own construction crew from nothing. I thought I understood loyalty. Turns out I was dead wrong about my own family. It all started going sideways 4 years ago when my son Harold married Patricia Coleman. She was 25 then, fresh out of college with some communications degree and dreams bigger than her bank account. Harold was pulling down decent money as a software engineer, but Patricia had champagne tastes on a beer budget. Designer everything, fancy restaurants, the works. My wife Dorothy used to say that love makes you do stupid things and money makes you do even stupider ones. She'd been gone 3 years when Harold came to me with his problem. Dorothy always loved Christmas, used to make these incredible tamales that took her 2 days to prepare. The whole house would smell like cumin and love. I missed that smell, something fierce. Dad, we found the perfect house, Harold said, spreading photos across my kitchen table like he was planning a military operation. It's in Riverside Heights, you know, where the tech executives live. Patricia says it's essential for her brand. Even then, that word made my skin crawl. Brand. Like my daughter-in-law was a breakfast cereal instead of a person. What's the problem, son? We can't qualify for the full amount. We need help with the down payment. Just temporary until Patricia's influencer thing takes off. I looked at those photos of their dream house. Big kitchen, perfect for family gatherings. Backyard where maybe grandkids could play someday. Dorothy and I had saved $180,000 over 25 years. Most of it sitting in my 401k collecting dust since she passed. What good was retirement money without anyone to retire with? How much do you need? $45,000. I didn't even hesitate. Family first, right? That's what Dorothy always said. Family first, everything else comes after. I pulled the money from my retirement account the next week and handed Harold a cashier's check. The look on his face was worth every penny, or so I thought. The mortgage payment started a month later. Dad, we're just short on the monthly payment. Patricia's building her following, but it takes time. Just until I get that promotion. $2,200 a month. Every month. Like clockwork. I set up an automatic transfer because Harold seemed embarrassed asking every time. Military habit, I guess. You take care of your people, they take care of you. Except, this wasn't the army, and family doesn't always work. Like a unit. The first year I didn't mind. Harold was working hard. Patricia was posting constantly about their beautiful home, their blessed life. She had maybe 500 followers then, mostly college friends and family. The second year, I started eating peanut butter sandwiches for lunch to make my own budget work. The third year, I stopped going to the diner on Sundays because $20 for pancakes felt like too much. But Patricia's follower count was growing. She'd hit 5,000, then 10,000. Her posts about their perfect home, their aesthetic lifestyle, their journey to success. Success built on my retirement money, but she never mentioned that part. The disrespect started small. Eye rolls when I'd tell stories about my army days. Comments about my truck being embarrassing in their driveway when her influencer friends came over. When I brought Dorothy's tamales recipe to family dinners, Patricia would order pizza instead, saying her audience expected more photogenic food. Content. Photogenic. Dorothy's tamales, the ones that took her 12 hours to make with love and tradition, weren't photogenic enough for Patricia's brand. The worst part was watching Harold, my son, the boy I'd taught to throw a baseball and change oil, just nodding along with whatever Patricia said. He'd stopped looking me in the eye when she made her little comments. Stopped defending me when she'd post those passive-aggressive things on social media about dealing with difficult family members and setting boundaries with toxic relatives. Toxic relatives. I was paying their mortgage and I was the toxic one, but I kept writing those checks. Dorothy used to say that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice you make every day. I chose to love my son by supporting his family, even when that family made it clear I was more valuable for my checkbook than my company. The breaking point came 3 weeks before Christmas. I was at their house fixing a leaky faucet because Harold can't. swing a wrench worth a damn when Patricia cornered me in their perfect kitchen with the granite countertops I'd helped pay for. "Victor, we need to discuss Christmas arrangements," she said, not looking up from her phone where she was probably scheduling another post about their blessed life. "What about Christmas? I was thinking I could make Dorothy's tamales this year. She always said they were better than her grandmother's." Patricia finally looked at me, and I saw something cold in her eyes that reminded me of enemy territory. "Actually, that's the issue. My parents are flying in from San Francisco, and we're curating a very specific aesthetic for our holiday content series." I stood there holding my wrench, trying to process what I'd just heard. Aesthetic? Look, it's nothing personal, but my parents' circle will be seeing this content. These are major networking opportunities. My father's a senior tech executive at a Fortune 500 company. My mother consults for international brands. They're accustomed to a certain level of sophistication. And what level is that? She sighed like she was explaining basic math to a slow child. "Victor, you're a sweet man, but you don't understand our world. These people have season tickets to the San Francisco Opera. They summer in Napa Valley. They discuss market trends and cultural movements over dinner. What would you even contribute to the conversation? Stories about laying tile, military anecdotes from the 1980s. Every word hit like a physical blow. I thought about Dorothy, how she'd always insisted on setting an extra place at Christmas dinner for anyone who might be alone. How she'd spend hours teaching Patricia family recipes when they first got married. Patient and kind, even when Patricia would get distracted by her phone. "I see," I said quietly. "And Harold agrees with this?" Before she could answer, my son walked into the kitchen. I looked at Harold, this man I'd raised with Dorothy's help. The boy who used to beg me to tell him war stories at bedtime. The same kid who'd cried when his goldfish died and made me promise we'd have a proper military funeral in the backyard. "Dad," he said, not meeting my eyes, "maybe it would be easier if you came by the weekend after. When it's just family, I am family." Patricia actually laughed. "Victor, of course you're family, but you're not really our demographic. Surely you understand that." I looked around their kitchen. The professional-grade appliances Patricia had insisted were essential for her content creation. The breakfast nook edition that had cost me $12,000 because she needed better natural lighting for her morning routine videos. The wine fridge that was supposedly crucial for entertaining potential sponsors. Every single upgrade had come from my 401k, my retirement, the money Dorothy and I had saved by clipping coupons and driving used cars and taking exactly 3 vacations in 25 years of marriage. "I understand perfectly," I said. Walked out without another word. Harold called after me once, but I didn't turn around. I got in my truck and sat there for 5 minutes, hands shaking. Not from age, not from weakness, from pure rage. 20 years in the Army, serving my country in places where people would kill you for being American. 10 years building my construction business, earning respect through hard work and keeping my word. 4 years bleeding my savings dry for people who thought I was beneath them. I pulled out my phone and called Wells Fargo. "Customer service, this is Jennifer. How can I help you today? I need to cancel an automatic transfer from my checking account." "Certainly, sir. I'll need your account number and some verification." I rattled off the numbers while watching Harold through their front window, probably getting lectured by his wife about managing difficult relatives. "I see the transfer you're referring to, Mr. Martinez. $2,200 monthly to account ending in 7423. This has been active for 48 months. 48 months. 4 years of my life, $105,600 in mortgage payments alone. Add the down payment, the renovations, Patricia's car payment when she decided her Honda wasn't brand appropriate. We were looking at $185,000 total, more than Dorothy and I had saved for our entire retirement. Gone. "Sir, are you there? Cancel it. Effective immediately. Done. The automatic transfer has been canceled. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" "No, ma'am, that's everything." I drove home through neighborhoods full of Christmas lights, families decorating trees visible through their windows. Normal families who didn't need to curate their holidays for social media. Families where fathers were welcome at their own dinner tables. My phone started buzzing before I even got home. Patricia's name flashing on the screen. Then Harold. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably Patricia's parents borrowing someone's phone. I turned the phone off completely. That night, I Pulled out photo albums I hadn't looked at in months. Pictures of Dorothy and me with baby Harold. Family Christmases when he was little. His face lit up with wonder at the tree Dorothy insisted we decorate together every year. Photos of Harold's college graduation, where I'd been so proud of my son getting his engineering degree. There was even a picture from Harold and Patricia's wedding. Dorothy had been gone 6 months by then, but I'd walk Patricia down the aisle because her own father was recovering from surgery. She'd squeezed my arm that day and whispered, "Thank you for being the father I always wanted. Lies, all of it lies." I found the Christmas photo from 2 years ago, the last Christmas Dorothy was alive. She was wearing the red sweater I'd bought her, surrounded by her tamales and Harold's favorite cookies. Patricia was there too, posting pictures of our authentic Mexican Christmas to her Instagram, talking about how blessed she felt to be part of such a warm, traditional family. That post got 2,000 likes, her most popular content that month. Authentic Mexican Christmas, sponsored by my checkbook and Dorothy's recipes. I set the photos aside and opened my laptop. Time to do some research. Patricia Coleman Martinez, social media influencer, 15,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok. Brand partnerships with home goods companies, lifestyle blogs, even a few small fashion brands. All of it built on the foundation of the beautiful home I was paying for. Her bio read, "Living our best life and sharing the journey." Grateful wife, content creator, spreading positivity one post at a time. Our best life, our journey. Built with my money while she excluded me from Christmas dinner. Christmas Eve came and went quietly. I spent it with my sister Linda and her family, eating her excellent pozole and watching old war movies. Her grandson Miguel, who's about 8, actually wanted to hear my army stories, asked me about the medals. Dorothy used to keep polished on my dresser. No cameras, no content creation, just a kid fascinated by his uncle's service to his country. Linda's daughter-in-law Carmen asked for Dorothy's tamale recipe. "Tia Dorothy made the best ones I ever tasted," she said. "I want to learn to make them for my kids." I wrote it down for her on an index card, the way Dorothy always did it. No measurements in cups or teaspoons, just a handful of this. And until it feels right. Carmen promised to practice and make them for New Year's. Real family, sharing real traditions, no aesthetic required. The day after Christmas, my phone exploded. 17 missed calls from Harold, 12 from Patricia, even one from Beverly Coleman, Patricia's mother. I let them all ring. The first text came from Harold. "Dad, what the hell?" The mortgage payment bounced. Patricia's freaking out. Then Patricia. "Victor, this is incredibly immature. We have obligations." Then Beverly. "Mr. Martinez, this is completely inappropriate behavior from someone your age." Patricia is devastated. I poured myself coffee and deleted every single message without reading the rest. 2 days later, Harold showed up at my door, looking like he'd aged 5 years overnight. Dark circles under his eyes, his usual confidence replaced by something that looked like panic. "Dad, you can't just cut us off like this. We have the mortgage, Patricia's equipment payments for her content setup. Her parents are asking questions about our finances." I looked at my son, this man I'd raised with Dorothy's patient guidance. "Have a seat, Harold. We need to talk." He perched on the edge of my couch like he was afraid to get comfortable. "Look, I know Patricia was harsh about Christmas, but she's under a lot of pressure. Building a brand is stressful. Harold, let me ask you something. How much money have I given you in 4 years?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Dad, I don't keep track of exact numbers." "I do." I pulled out the folder I'd prepared. Bank statements, transfer records, receipts. $185,000. The down payment from my 401k, monthly mortgage payments, the kitchen renovation, the addition, Patricia's car payment, your credit card debt. That one time, even the professional photography equipment, she said, was essential for her content. His face went white as I laid out the evidence. "Jesus, Dad. I didn't realize." "You didn't want to realize? It was easier to cash the checks and let your wife build her brand on my retirement money. What do you want from us?" The question hung in the air like smoke from Dorothy's cigarettes. She'd quit 20 years ago, but I could still smell them sometimes, still remember how she'd sit on the back porch thinking through problems, working through solutions. "I want respect, son. 4 years of supporting your family, and I'm not sophisticated enough for Christmas dinner? Harold ran his hands through his hair, a gesture that reminded me painfully of Dorothy when she was frustrated. Patricia's parents are very traditional about holidays. They have expectations. Their expectations don't include the man who's been paying their daughter's mortgage. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. I leaned forward, using the command voice that had gotten results in the Army. Harold, here's what's going to happen. I've talked to Arthur Stone about reclassifying those payments. Turns out when you document everything properly, there's a legal difference between gifts and loans. That wasn't entirely true yet, but Arthur Stone was my lawyer buddy from the Veterans of Foreign Wars post, and he'd already agreed to help me review the paperwork. Dad, you can't be serious. We don't have that kind of money. Then you better start figuring out how to get it. After Harold left, looking defeated and desperate, I opened my laptop and began the next phase. Patricia's social media accounts were easy to find and even easier to screenshot. 4 years of posts about their blessed life, their beautiful home, their journey to success. Success funded by the man who wasn't sophisticated enough to join them for Christmas. Her most recent post showed their Christmas dinner table, perfectly set with the expensive china I'd helped pay for. The caption read, "Grateful for family time with people who understand our vision. Sometimes you have to set boundaries with negative energy to protect your peace. Hashtag, blessed hashtag, family first, hashtag, boundaries, hashtag, authenticity, authenticity." The woman who built her entire brand on my money was lecturing people about authenticity. I took screenshots of everything, the house posts, the lifestyle content, the passive-aggressive messages about toxic relatives and setting boundaries. Then I started documenting the financial side, every bank transfer, every check, every receipt I could find. My military training kicked in. When you're planning an operation, you gather intelligence first. You understand your enemy's strengths and weaknesses. You identify their supply lines, their support network, their vulnerabilities. Patricia's vulnerability was obvious. Her entire influencer persona depended on the illusion of success. Take away the beautiful house, the perfect lifestyle, the aesthetic presentation, and what was left? A 29-year-old communications major with no real job and a social media following built on lies. But I needed more than just financial records. I needed credibility. I needed people to listen when I told my side of the story. That's when I remembered my old Army buddies from the VFW guys who understood sacrifice, who'd given years of their lives serving their country and came home to build families and businesses through hard work and discipline. Men who understood the difference between earning respect and demanding it. I started making phone calls. The support came faster than I expected. My buddy Carlos from the VFW knew a guy who worked in social media marketing. Tommy Rodriguez, who had served 2 tours in Afghanistan, had built a decent following, sharing his transition back to civilian life. Even Father Martinez from our church, who'd been an Army chaplain before his calling, offered to help spread the word about family values and respecting elders. "Brother," Carlos said when I explained the situation, "this is bigger than just your family. This is about standing up to people who take advantage of good men like us." I spent 3 days crafting my response. Not an angry rant, not a bitter complaint. A simple, factual presentation of the truth. Military precision applied to social media warfare. I created my first Facebook account at age 58. Profile picture in my dress uniform from my retirement ceremony. Dorothy standing next to me in her best blue dress, the one she wore to Harold's graduation. My first post was simple. 4 years ago, I supported my son and daughter-in-law with $185,000 from my retirement savings to help them buy their dream home. Last month, she told me I wasn't sophisticated enough for Christmas dinner with her parents. Today, I'm sharing the receipts. I attached everything, bank statements showing every transfer, screenshots of Patricia's posts about their blessed life and success journey, photos of the house renovations I'd funded, text messages where Harold promised the support was just temporary. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within 6 hours, my post had been shared 500 times. Comments poured in from people who'd been in similar situations, Vietnam veterans who'd supported ungrateful children, construction workers who'd been looked down on by their kids' college-educated spouses, Retired teachers, mechanics, electricians, all sharing stories of financial sacrifice met with social embarrassment. But the real victory came when Patricia tried to respond. She posted a long message about family drama and dealing with financial manipulation from toxic relatives. She painted herself as the victim of an unstable older man who was trying to control her young family through money. That's when my army network activated. Tommy Rodriguez shared my post with his 12,000 followers, adding his own commentary about respecting the men who built our country. Father Martinez shared it in the veteran community groups. Even Linda got involved, posting photos from our Christmas dinner with her family, talking about the importance of including elders in family celebrations. The contrast was devastating. Patricia's carefully curated influencer image crumbled as people connected her success story to my financial support. Her follower count dropped by thousands overnight. Brand partnerships started canceling contracts. Sponsorship deals evaporated. Meanwhile, Harold was calling constantly. I finally answered on the 5th day. Dad, this has to stop. Patricia's business is being destroyed. People are calling her all kinds of names online. People are telling the truth, son. Sometimes the truth hurts. She wants to work something out, a payment plan. She's realized how badly she screwed up. What changed her mind? The lost sponsors? The social media backlash? Harold's voice got quiet. Her parents cut her off. They saw your post, saw the numbers, realized she'd been lying to them about our finances. They're embarrassed to be associated with her behavior. The irony wasn't lost on me. The sophisticated people Patricia had been so eager to impress had dropped her the moment her true character became public. The elite circle she'd wanted to protect from my working-class presence had rejected her entirely. 2 weeks later, Harold showed up at my door again. But this time, he looked different, humbled, ashamed maybe, but also somehow cleaner, like a man who'd finally stopped lying to himself. Dad, I owe you an apology. Not just about the money, about everything. About choosing her opinion over your feelings. About letting her treat you like you were beneath us when you were the one keeping us afloat. I studied my son's face, looking for the boy I'd raised. He was still in there, under the guilt and regret. Harold, here's what's going to happen. You're going to sell that house and buy something you can actually afford. You're going to pay me back every penny with 6% interest. And Patricia's going to post a public apology explaining exactly how she built her success on her father-in-law's retirement money. He nodded slowly. And then we can be a family again? Son, we can try. But respect isn't something you can just flip back on like a light switch. You both made choices about what kind of people you wanted to be. Now you get to live with those choices and prove you've learned something. 6 months later, they're in a smaller house they can actually afford. Patricia's influencer career never recovered, but she's working a regular job now and keeps her mouth shut about family business. Harold's making payments on the loan, $800 a month, with interest. The money's coming back slowly, but that's not really the point anymore. The point is that I learned something important at 58 years old. You teach people how to treat you, and if you don't demand respect, you won't receive it. Last Christmas, I spent the day with Linda's family again. Carmen had mastered Dorothy's tamale recipe, and her kids helped serve them with the same pride Dorothy used to show. Miguel, now 9, asked me to tell him about the time I helped evacuate civilians in Panama. Real stories, real family, real respect. Patricia's sophisticated Christmas party never happened. Turns out when you can't afford it yourself, and your social media career is ruined, aesthetics don't matter much. Harold sent me a photo from their quiet dinner at home, just the two of them eating store-bought ham and the box stuffing. I didn't respond to the photo, but I saved it. Sometimes the best lessons come with the highest price tags, and sometimes the people who need to learn them most are the ones who can least afford to pay. My retirement account is slowly recovering. My self-respect recovered completely the day I made that phone call to cancel their mortgage payment. And my relationship with my son, that's still a work in progress, built on honesty instead of financial dependence. Dorothy used to say that love without respect is just expensive pity. She was right about that, like she was about most things. I finally learned to listen. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. And more importantly, who deserves to be in your life when you know your worth. The most expensive lesson I ever learned cost me $185,000, but it taught me something priceless. Respect isn't earned through generosity. It's commanded through boundaries.